Good morning. Welcome to the BlackUSA.News morning show. My name is Doni Glover, and I hope that you are doing well. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. The weather's not bad, nice and summery, not too humid. Wonderful time out this morning walking the dog, walking Pharaoh, my ace. Very interesting show yesterday. It was blazing. Got phone calls from all over the place. Will Hanna was certainly a very informative guest. Just want people to know that although we highlight a lot of the challenges in our city, believe it or not, we also try to celebrate the solution-oriented people who help make a difference here in the city of Baltimore. And on that note, on Monday, August 30th, we will be hosting the next Black Wall Street Awards over at Terra Cafe. And some of our honorees include Fatima West, Elder Anthony Williams, Brother Rod Carter, Kat Weaver, Cadovia Smith, Kelly Vaughn, and also a young man who should be joining us momentarily for today's show, Diamond K. Special thank you to our many sponsors who have supported our Black Wall Street efforts. Long story short, we give away these plaques. We celebrate Black entrepreneurs and professionals, as well as the people who support them, regardless of race. As you can see, Fatima wasn't able to make it to the June Black Wall Street, so we will be recognizing her. She had some scheduling conflicts, but we've given over 1,700 of these plaques away to people in over a dozen U.S. cities, including Baltimore, New York. Our first event was actually 10 years ago in Washington, D.C. We've done many in Prince George's County, one in Richmond, one in New Orleans, several in Atlanta. I think beyond Baltimore and D.C., New York is where we've done the most. I love going to New York. Oh my God, from Brooklyn to Harlem. Never been to Queens. We tried to schedule one in Queens before, but we were unsuccessful. Good morning, Mr. Michael Haney. Michael Haney, big ups to him. He was able to coordinate our first BlackUSA.News morning show from another country. He was in two countries, Uganda and in Kenya. And so I'm proud to say that this show has been viewed halfway around the world. So we can't wait to do more countries. Greetings to Mr. Derek Bowden down in Florida. How you doing, Derek? What's the word down there in Florida? Got to find our guest from yesterday. Guess he got a little tied up. But all is well, and we just keep on pushing the envelope. Baltimore is such a fascinating city. We certainly have our share of challenges. You don't need me to tell you. If you're a parent, you're dealing with education and your children and going back to school in the midst of COVID. If you are a resident, a homeowner, you're dealing with, well, I know what we're dealing with here in Sandtown. We're dealing with the first wave of gentrification. I mean, we already had an influx, of course, of drugs and addicts from our own community. But now there's this whole new wave that's coming into Baltimore. People from Carroll County, Harford County, people from other states. And they're busting up into vacants, they're squatting. Some of them even pull out the squatters' rights. Like if you get a piece of mail, police can't put you out, supposedly, depending on what police you call. It's just a hot mess. and what we hear from elected officials is like, man, do you expect people to believe you? So these are the challenges we're faced with. We must do our best to navigate them, even in the midst of COVID. I've been finding it confusing to understand what we're supposed to do for children. I mean, are children supposed to wear masks? At what age? Are they supposed to get inoculated? I understand not under the age of 12. And then COVID is going back up. As they say, as the cold weather approaches, the numbers will go back up. I think right now we're at a 4.9, and the CDC recommended rate is 5%. So the way things are going, we're about to go up past 5%. So, you still got people who don't want to get vaccinated. I respect that, but wear the mask. You do have, and I shared this yesterday, I saw Fox do a poll, like, should there be a mask mandate? And the people on Fox's poll said, no, there should not be a mask mandate. But when I did a poll on B.More.News, it was 100% yes, there should be a mask mandate. A lot of people playing with it, more young people, and I mean like 20 to 30, they're catching COVID. It's real. So we got so much to navigate, and on top of that, keeping our mental health straight. Living in Sandtown, I see a lot of depressed people on a regular basis. At the same time, what happens to us in life is not our fault, but it is our responsibility to deal with it. A lot of things happen to us that we have no idea. We get hit out the blue. We didn't see it coming. Could be family, could be friends, could be associates, could be somebody you thought was a friend, all kinds of stuff. People are dealing with it out here, but it's our responsibility. And you really don't want to carry bitterness in your heart. I want love in my heart. I want to forgive as soon as I can. We say it in the Lord's Prayer all the time. Forgive us as we forgive others. Forgiving somebody is tough. Forgiving yourself can be even tougher. Who regulates that? Did I forgive myself? Did I forgive myself halfway? Marsha Jews always says, keep it moving. Frank Johnson said that to me the other day. Keep it moving. Can't change the past. The serenity prayer comes to mind. God grant me the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This is what I do know, and I don't care what religion you are. Love. That's how you heal Baltimore. That's how you heal the world. Love. Love. We are so far removed from love a lot of times. Just love. You see somebody need something, like a lady pushing a baby in the baby carriage, and the baby drops the nipple. Or you pick it up and you hand it to the mother. That's what grown people do. People say they're grown. People say I'm a grown man. People say I'm a grown woman. But the proof is in the pudding. If you're grown, you do what needs to be done. It's not complicated. You see an issue, you deal with it. Or you notify somebody. You don't have to save the world. There was a time when you could say something to somebody else's child. That's when we had that village concept. It takes a village to raise a child. Now you say something to somebody's, you got to check yourself. You mess around and get shot saying something to somebody's child. We've gotten so far away. I was just sharing how our ancestors came out of slavery, or came through the slavery era, because not every black person was a slave. Not every white person was free. But during that era, we had a lot more unity than we did today. We were a lot more homogenous. We were a lot more like-minded. We knew we had to help each other. We knew we had a common enemy, and that was American racism and American terrorists. They talk about the Taliban. They talk about the Ku Klux Klan, the White League, those white terrorist organizations that still wreak havoc on America. I just don't get the cats with the hoods and the ski masks. And I don't care whether they are the Klan, whether they down with the cartel, whether they down with the Middle Eastern terrorists. Why you gotta wear a mask? If you're doing something that you gotta cover your face, speaks volumes. Anyway, our guest is here, and we're gonna get on with the get down.
How's it going?
What it is, Walter?
Ah, you the man, you the man.
Man, I'm just a squirrel in the world trying to get an acorn. Did you cut your hair, man?
Yes, I did.
You know, I used to have hair, man. I remember I used to get my hair plaited, man. Lisa Carroll, Nancy. those were the good old days.
Yeah, I'm working on a movie called The Hitmaker, and I had to cut my hair for the movie.
And your hair grow back.
Oh, yeah, it grow back. Well,
ain't happening over here, cousin. I tried. A young lady said, let it go, let it go, let it go. It's all good. What's been happening otherwise? So you say you're working on a movie?
Yes, movie is called The Hitmaker, and yeah, we're getting ready to start production shortly.
What's The Hitmaker about?
What is it about? It's about a music producer and his wife and divorce that they're going through.
Relationships.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Baisden became famous based on books on relationships, if I'm not mistaken.
I like Michael Baisden.
I've met him before.
Yeah. Good guy.
I can tell you this, if you go to meet him and there are a bunch of women, you might as well just go ahead, turn around and go find something else to do. Because he's talking to every one of those ladies.
As he should. As he should. A lot going on in the world, man.
All right. What tops your list?
I would probably say COVID and Afghanistan and Haiti.
Let's start with Haiti.
Yeah.
Of course, that's with Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines. They did the most successful slave insurrection in the Western Hemisphere. They kicked Napoleon's hind parts. However, France has been taxing them.
Still paying for that. Still paying for that today. Which is unbelievable. You know what I mean?
Parlez-vous français?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the fact that you have that nation that is so strong. I mean, because like you said, defeating what at that time was probably the best army in the world, and kicking those folks out of their country. But still, I mean, forced to pay reparations to the colonizers. I mean, that's just unheard of. Never in history something like that happening. And all of these European countries, including the United States, making these people pay figuratively and literally. Countries not even wanting to do business with Haiti and taxing them so badly. It's just it's a sad situation when you look at it in its totality, and the fact that the nation is so poor is a direct result of their strength.
And it speaks also, I mean, as you were saying, it speaks to how European and Western powers have colonized not just Haiti. I mean, when you talk about colonization, you look at Africa. All of Africa, well, most of Africa has been carved up. Ethiopia, other than 2 years of occupation by Mussolini and the Italians, Ethiopia has remained free. Liberia is an American colony. Sierra Leone, I think, is a British colony for expatriates or returning those who return from Western slavery. But the Congo, South Africa, West Africa, just been carved up. And man, if I had the power, I would take back all that has been taken from Africa by the Western powers and put it back in Africa. And also, I would get rid of the corrupt leaders. There's no reason anybody should be hungry in Africa. Africa is the breadbasket of the world.
Right. But it's anywhere you go, it's the haves and the have-nots. It's white people pushing their religion, pushing their doctrines, pushing their ideologies on people of other lands. That a lot of that happened in Afghanistan. A lot of, in countries, all the countries that you named, and many more. And sometimes those ideologies and those beliefs are rejected, and sometimes they are absorbed. And when they are rejected, a lot of times America and other European nations will say these are insurgents, these are terrorists, these are because they are against whatever they are pushing down. And when the people try to fight back, then they get these labels.
The first terrorist was the KKK and the White League.
Absolutely.
And they're still around.
And they're still a terrorist now.
Yeah, J6, January 6th.
In their many forms.
Terrorists, they tend to travel in gangs, and they tend to wear hoods and masks.
Right.
Where I come from, they call them coon boogers. Because if you stand for something, you mean something. You ain't got to wear no hood. You ain't got to wear no mask.
Yeah. But they were and are in many cases ashamed of those thoughts and those beliefs. They got to hide their faces because they don't want to be called out, or the hypocrisy. They might be losing money over those actions, so they got to hide their faces. But most people know who they are, really. Their community knows who they are.
Let me tell you something. A lot of people these days, you see the comment Mohammed sent in, they're going to scream.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yes, he's absolutely right.
Don't know, but China, there's a reason that China is so aggressive right now. Did you know that the United Kingdom owned Hong Kong for 150 years?
Yes.
Because of the opium wars. See, the drug game is nothing new.
Absolutely not.
They got those people strung out on opium. The opium wars took Hong Kong for 150 years. That was their money maker. That's like me coming over there, God forbid, and taking over your studio and getting you strung out or something like that. And they like, where Diamond K at? Oh, he'd be back in 2029.
Yeah. And then like Mohammed was saying, the arrogance, because then they start with this thought like this is something that they're entitled to, and if they can't rape and pillage and rob you, then you owe them.
The audacity.
Yes. It's very maddening. And when you see it happening around the world, I mean, we are seeing the remnants of that everywhere in this world. And when you see other oppressed people throughout the world, it frustrates me to know. I just can't even express how much.
Do you think there's hope for Haiti?
Yes, I do.
As long as there's life, there's hope, right?
Absolutely. Yes. The same way they were able to kick those Europeans out of their country and whoop them. There's hope. Absolutely. They're gonna need some help. They're gonna need some help though. But yes, there is hope, and it can turn around.
Well, let me shift over to Africa. Muammar Gaddafi, Libya. He wanted to create one currency for the continent of Africa, and they killed him not long thereafter, and the U.S. co-signed it.
Oh, absolutely.
Barack Obama.
Absolutely. Whenever you start talking about that, whenever you start talking about unity on a real impactful scale, yes, labeled as the enemy. But they when he was willing to do things on their terms, then he's fine. You know, whoever it is. But moment that they stray from that predetermined um,
Western,
outcome,
Western perspective.
Western, that's the word, and then they get all these labels. Yeah.
So Afghanistan, I'm looking at these big cargo planes bringing back a bunch of Afghanis. I'm hearing Governor Larry Hogan talking about, assisting these Afghanistani refugees. With all due respect, what about us? What
Yeah.
about the Black community? We've lost 40% of our businesses during COVID.
Right.
If white America catches a cold, Black America catches the flu / COVID / pneumonia / cancer / asthma / every negative socio-economic factor alive. What do you think when you hear Americans, welcoming refugees? And I get it, but damn it, this is a war zone here in Sandtown in East Baltimore. They killed two teenagers this week.
Right. 15. Yeah, I don't have a problem, honestly, with helping refugees. What I have a problem with is the just outright ignoring of Black people in this country today. In the last 20 years, when we look at the amount of money and resources that were put into Afghanistan, what is the result? What has been the result, really? Nothing. Things are the same exact way Taliban took over 1996, 1996, and now Taliban going to take right back over. So 20 years, trillions of dollars wasted. The soldiers didn't even want to fight. They was good when American was propping them up, and you had the little bit of American soldiers there. Then they brave, right? Americans say, "Are we leaving?" And in a few days, they, in many instances, just bloodless. Here, take the weapons. We good. We don't want no trouble to the Taliban. After 20 years of building them up, now you flip that. You have put that amount of money into Black America over the last 20 years. We damn sure wouldn't have just gave up. And I'm talking about on a social level, right? We would have been forward much, further than we are right now if that type of investment had gone into our communities or America as a whole.
Yeah, like the infrastructure. We got pipes busting downtown, BG&E explosions. Clearly our infrastructure needs to be addressed.
And this is happening all over the country. And the Republicans in Congress complaining about spending this money, just a little bit of money on infrastructure or social programs. And when you look at what's been pushed outside of this country, it is mind-boggling. Americans have to take back their country.
And let me tell you where it starts. It starts right here. You see this thing here? This cell phone? Why, when I got an issue, because I'm trying to get my iPhone reestablished, why they always sending me somebody from India to talk to me, bruh? Because
it's not only Apple. It's not only Apple. Xfinity does it. And there is a reason.
I don't understand a damn word they saying, Kate.
That's part of it. So I want you to get frustrated and nothing gets done. And then also they're outsourcing these things because it's cheaper. I have
I tell them I want to speak to an American. I don't want
hey, brother, that's racist. You can't say that.
I said it. I don't want to talk. Hey, if you ain't in America, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, well, they outsource these things because it is cheaper. And so I have
it doesn't work though.
I have several virtual assistants that are from other countries, and like you're saying, speaking, we can't communicate well. We have to email back and forth, and in different countries they are awake while we're asleep, and I'm able to get more things done that way. But what I pay my virtual assistants in other countries versus what I would have to pay the assistant here is night and day. So it's going to be cheaper for them to outsource that phone banking and those their call center, because it's just going to be better for their bottom line. So they don't care about the actual experience of the customer. We just trying to save and make money.
Mo makes a great point. How do we help ourselves, Diamond?
Yes.
Nobody's coming to save us.
Yeah. Mo Hammond is definitely on point. And right. We have to do it ourselves. But we have this mentality that's this I mentality, and it's not a we. People want to pull themselves up, and I get that, but you can pull yourself up and pull some other people and throw a lifeline and a ladder down to other people as well. But we're early in the process. So that's why you have these trickles of people that, attain success and attain wealth. And as more of us come and more, we take over everything. We get a part, everything we get a part of, whether it's sports, whether it's economics. We're going to take over. It's just that it's about unity and pulling other people up.
I got a question for you. We grew up, and I'm a little bit older than you, but based on what you said and based on what I know about your family, I imagine you were told this too. To whom much is given,
much is required.
Much is required.
Right.
Is that message resonating with the next generation?
No, it's not, because it has also the accountability piece has not really been enacted with the previous generation. So at each generation, this I mentality is just compounded even more. Each generation, the selfishness on an individual level is crazy. It's crazy, and so they don't feel like they gotta help anybody. It's about me, what I can do for me. The sense of community is lost, and we can get it back. We have to get it back, but it's going to involve some uncomfortable conversations. It's going to involve some people doing some things that are not politically accepted right now, with regards to disciplining, with regards to instilling some things and reinforcing these ideologies, because the enemy of our people likes the way things are going and likes the way things are. So anything that counteracts that, they're going to push against it and make it socially unacceptable to do some of these things. But we need to get back control of our young people and get back control of our communities, and they work hand in hand. Accountability is super important.
Mo had another comment. He said, Diamond hit the nail on the head. We lack unity. Last question is reparations of reality?
Reparations is a reality, but we also, the same way that they have broadened the definition of infrastructure, we have to broaden the definition of reparations. So if we broaden that, then yes, it is absolutely possible. But the same way they don't want to, quote unquote, help us, they don't want to give us money. And this was so crazy about reparations. The state that we are in right now as a people, most of the people, if you gave them reparations, they would put it right back into the economy, because because most of us have this consumer mindset. They would give the money right back. But America is so, the white people in power are so racist that even though most of the people would give it back to Nike, sneakers, jewelry, cars. They would give it right back. We don't want you to have it. Even though they would get most of it right back. Most of us are not in a mental state where we would be investing and making those moves. They would be balling and doing it for the gram and having a money phone. And, you know what I mean? They would give it right back. But I'm glad that we're not in a state to just, you know, F off the money and trick off the money. We had to get ourselves in a better mental state. Well, out of this consumer mindset.
I got to interject. I've been watching the younger people. I'm 56, so I might sound old, but no harm intended. But I've been watching the younger people deal with this Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency, and I mean, some are teenagers.
Yeah.
Some are preteens.
Yeah, and that's good.
I'm encouraged seeing this wave of young people thinking about investments. I love it.
That is a good point. And I'm glad you brought it up because it's not all bad, right? It's not all bad. You're right. Using their computers, their phones, their tablets for these things because they're on them all the time. And that part is good. We definitely need to be aware of and well versed in this digital marketplace. Definitely.
So Nipsey Hussle, his death was not in vain, was it?
In vain,
or put differently, have new Nipsey Hussles emerged? I remember when he passed, all people talked about was how he was all about giving back and helping us build Black businesses.
Yeah,
has that taken over?
He definitely had an influence. Not someone that I mean, he's obviously missed, and his impact stretched further than just music. A lot of people inspired by him, so I definitely see the. But one person can't do it. You know what I mean? We have to have more than just Nipsey. Where is the equivalent in other cities? Who is the equivalent in other cities? But Nipsey Hussle respected, missed, and was definitely somebody who influenced this generation. And I think that his impact is more something that we can better analyze over some more years.
I want to talk to you about entertainment. That seems to be our number one product in Black America.
Entertainment. Yeah. Yeah.
When are we going to link up with Africa?
Link up with Africa with regards to entertainment?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if that's going to happen because the things that we are entertained by, you know, there's some cultural differences. And I think that some of the things that entertain us are slightly different. But you do have, with regards to movies, you have is it Bollywood? Yeah, a genre of movies that are made in Nigeria that people in America enjoy, and you know, so I mean, there's. But to me, the real thing about entertainment is controlling what gets greenlit. That's the real thing. A lot of us want to Nollywood. I'm sorry, Nollywood, right? And a lot of us want to be in front of the camera, but not behind it all the time. And the people that are controlling the images, that's where the real money and that's where the real power is.
Behind the camera, producing, directing,
right,
and the imagery. What you know, growing up in America. Going back to the first feature film, the birth of a nation, and she call it the death of a nation. But there's just been, just because a Black person produces a film, okay, doesn't mean I want to watch it. I don't want to watch the typical storyline about homie selling dope. He did this, got the girl, blah, blah. You know, then, you know, I don't like that ho-hum. I almost lean more towards what was it, Bill Cosby's, the Huxtables. I'd rather see something like that, maybe, I don't want to see. I don't need to see the street crime. I ain't even
We
got to look out
already
my
know that story. That story is not entertaining because we know that story. We know how that story ends. We know the stars. We know the villains. We know everything about that story because we've lived it. Our families lived it. We've seen it. We trying to get away from that story.
I want to see something about like the banker. Black people owning banks, owning investment firms. And I don't want to see the typical church story about standing up in the church. I don't want to see that.
But here's the thing. The only way you're going to see that story is if we continue and expand on controlling those projects. And with the rise of the internet and digital media, we can tell those stories. Before, the cost of entry was too great trying to make those films. I'm talking about in the 80s and in the 90s. But now you can make things and we can put out the stuff that we really want to see and that we really need to see.
I want to see some Wesley Snipes type move, maybe movies featuring a Wesley Snipes doing the Bourne ultimatum. I like Jason Bourne, but I want to see some black people in that role. I want to see some black people as 007 with the good music, those feature films.
Yeah, but those, once again, those big budget things, the cost of entry is not as much as it used to be. So that can happen. It's just a matter of doing it. But you also have to look at why people are doing things. Most of these people are doing things strictly for the money. So they want to, that it doesn't financially benefit them to do that. So they want to make a movie that they sell to the big movie house, or the big movie house, brings them in. And sometimes they're not thinking about the imagery. They just thinking about, I need to go in here and get a check. But that's the selfish nature. Once you get so much money, how much more money do our black entertainers need, right? Then at some point, it has to be about the betterment of the cause at some point. And that's going to be seeing those positive images.
I got to share this with you, Diamond. On a similar note, I don't care about the next mega athlete from the black community. When I look at Baltimore and the mega athletes, and I look at the state of our recreation centers, I could give a rat's ass about the next star athlete. If it doesn't mean that there's something coming back to the community, I could care less. So what, you hit 50 points? What's your give back? And that's where I say a big ups to a LeBron James, the king of give back in my book. Give back. These cats, they get caught up. Everybody wants the beautiful woman and nice house and all of that. But I'm so impressed with those athletes that make it their business to give back. To whom much is given, much is required. Baltimore ain't had a brand new record forever.
What?
All these athletes have come through here. Where's the give back? Born black.
Yeah, that would be hot.
I don't care about the mega athletes. I don't care. And then, I will say this. Big ups to people like Deion Sanders. There's a running back, the guy who was for Tennessee. And he's there. Both of them are now at HBCUs. I love seeing our superstars.
They're coaching at HBCUs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And on a similar tip, it was two track stars from North Carolina A&T HBCU that did well in the Olympics.
Yeah, but once again, these people, and you can't toss the athletes to the side. You just need to pull them aside and talk to them, because they just don't know. A lot of times they don't know. A lot of these guys and girls coming in to athletics at a super young age and drilled and pushed by their father or their mother or some coach in their community to get to a level where they can do this professionally, and they're not really taught those things that you're talking about. On a surface level, they do stuff here and there, but there's so much more that can be done to inspire the next one of them. And you mentioning LeBron James. LeBron James is, I think, after his career is over, he might get some of his just due, but there's more that he needs to get with regards to accolades that are not connected to what he does on the court, because he does so much, like you said, for the community. He's a family guy. He doesn't get into trouble. Just a model of how, we see all these athletes that they have this money, and then a couple years later, all the money's gone. They on the street corner, looking crazy, or they have some type of substance abuse or something's going on, because that foundation was not set up for them. They were not set up to be successful long term. And LeBron James is one of those that you should look at as an athlete, aspiring athlete, as this is how I need to roll. This is how I need to do my life.
Diamond, how do we strengthen our nuclear family? You grew up with a dad and a mom.
Yeah. And sisters.
At what point did you realize that many of your homeboys did not have a daddy?
It's funny because it kind of late, because most of the time, I just assumed that everybody else's house was like mine. And I wasn't allowed to go to a lot of people's houses, like inside their house. We had to have permission to go inside somebody's house. My mother and father didn't know this person. Oh, you ain't going over there. You know what I mean? You can stay outside, but you ain't going in their house. We don't know them. And so I have a handful of people whose houses I could go in. And all of them had the same family structure. That, I had like one friend that lived with his grandparents, but it still seemed the same because his grandmother and grandfather, it was this, you had the yin and the yang. So I did not really gather that until I was really in high school, that everybody's structure, wasn't the same. And I started seeing the results of not having those positive male role models, or that real authority figure in their lives. And a lot of them are not here, or in jail, or on a bad path.
Well, you did it much sooner than me, because I think I was about 40 when it really hit me that I look back. I may have been the only kid on my block with a dad, man.
Yeah.
Only kid in 2 blocks.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 blocks. There were other people in my my friends' lives, but to grow up with your dad.
Yeah.
And let me put it out there. I was watching your dad on a video with your mom, and your dad was doing pull-ups and sit-ups. I felt so embarrassed in my soul. I got to go to the gym. I got to do my push-ups. But that's what fathers do.
But here's the thing. I want you to say this. I got to say this and cut you off. So my father does not like the gym. My father doesn't go to the gym. He doesn't even use weights. So what he does, you can literally do at home or outside. He likes to work out in nature. He likes to do it naturally, and he looks at weights and treadmill as artificial. So he's running up a mountain or some big hill. He's around Drew Hill Park. He's around these parks, and outside his house and in his house. He likes to work out there and do these things. So you don't even have the excuse of not going to the gym, because you literally can do that stuff at home.
I'm watching your dad do holding and pulling his legs up. It's like, man, I'm feeling my stomach. And look, Mo just hit me to something. You bring your dad on your show?
Oh yeah. On Wednesdays. Yes, on Wednesdays we do father and son news. Yes.
How different is that?
It for me is easy, because that's how my whole life was. Those were our conversations. So younger years, me and my father did not understand each other, because he only spoke one way, and a lot of stuff that he said was completely over my head. And so he would always, he would give me the game, but then he would say, if I had too many questions or didn't understand, he would say, you'll get it when you get older. You'll understand. And then as I got older, the stuff that he beat into my head, figuratively, just drilled over and over and over again. Then it started to snap. Oh, that's what he meant. Oh, that's what he meant. And as I got older, we got closer because I started to understand the stuff that he was saying. So when we do our show and he comes on, it's really it's just like giving people a view in our normal conversations, because that's just how we normally talk to each other. So it's very easy.
My dad's been gone since 2003. I can hear him.
Yeah.
In any situation, I can hear him. I can hear him talk. I can hear him saying, "You can do better than this." I can hear him going back to what you said of how they drill things in. But what do you think of a generation of our young men? They're on the news every night, who did not have a daddy. Their daddy over to jail. Their daddy strung out. Their daddy selling dope.
Yeah.
Or their daddy just dead.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a lost cause. It's not a lost cause because my father, just to be transparent, my father did not have a good father. And so, it was a tough road to get to that point, and you need a yin and a yang. And so my mother, I can't leave my mother out of the equation because, growing up, my father was harder on me than he would be now if he was if he was raising a child now. And so my mother kind of balanced things out and gave the understanding. And you don't have to always have something to know what is needed, and his upbringing was different from mine, but he still knew what was needed, and then you become what you wanted to have, you know what I mean? And so his was the relationship was not good, and like our relationship and how his relationship is with my sisters, but he knew what he wanted to have seen, and so then you become that, and it's almost like, some people say, well, I'm not going to do this to my kids because I didn't like when it was done to me. And his is the result of the exact opposite. I'm going to be what I wanted to have had in my life. And so that's just a transparent moment there. And just one more thing, with regards to my father coming on the show, when my grandmother, when she passed a few years ago, naturally, my father was in a dark place just after it happened. Like, he wasn't leaving the house. He wasn't really. He seemed like you talk about the shell of yourself, your former self. He seemed like that, and so I wanted to find, because I was having so much enjoyment in doing my show, and I said, and I knew that he liked to talk, and he would, back in the 80s, he would call into radio shows and debate with hosts. What's the guy's name? He's passed on now. Some white, what's the guy's name? Les Kinsolving. He used to call his show and debate with him. This is a right-wing guy who in Baltimore that's passed on, and he was heavy into politics. And I thought, maybe if I bring my father to the studio and we start doing a show, that will give him something to be happy about in the after losing his mother. And so it was really something that was beneficial, and that's where that all stemmed from.
So how do we, we have a generation of young men out here who clearly do not have or didn't have much of their fathers in their life.
Yeah.
What they have is much of their mothers.
Yeah.
In their life. So it's like an unbalanced,
absolutely,
male that's out here. Almost, I don't want to use cuss terms, but it's not the same kind of man from our fathers and grandfathers' generation. This is a man who's quick to pick up a gun. I grew up in a generation. If you couldn't put them up, if you couldn't handle it, there was no need for you to go get a gun, because a punk with a gun is a man, but in that jail cell, you ain't got no gun. But we have a generation of young men And then God, the young women. In my day, if you called a female a B, best believe you gonna have to put them hands up before the day is over. But today, it is common practice quite often for sisters to refer to themselves as B's. And then I look at some of the imagery on Facebook, and it's like, damn, girl, you leave nothing for the imagination. And these are grown women, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everything you said is true. Now, something can be done about it, but it is a long-term thing, and it's a shift of a mindset, just like that mindset shifted to where it is now. When I was younger, women would never refer to themselves like that. You know, that
Not a lady.
never, no. And they may, not in a positive way, like they may have an issue with somebody and they may say that be such and such, but her referring to herself and the girls in her squad said, you know, hey, bees, and do it in an endearing way, was something that we didn't see. And I'm sure that there's a generation that is gone now, but they may look and say the way that we refer to ourselves as, you know, my nigga, as being something negative as well. So we can't fault the ladies without also looking at ourselves also, you know what I mean? Because we took that word and we flipped it, and the ladies took it and they flipped it.
Same
And
thing. Same thing.
we can't sit here and call the ladies out without saying we do the same version of that. When we talk about our fellas.
You won't catch me in public saying the N-word.
Yeah. Not the ER, but you might say A.
Not on these airwaves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not in media. I was trained too well.
Yeah, well. Yeah, I feel you. So
what else going on, Diamond?
I mean, what type of it's early, but what type of job do you think that Mayor Scott has done thus far? It's still early, you know what I mean? You know, he can't get a full report card yet.
I'm gonna answer it this way: if I were mayor, I'd have shut this joint down from day one.
What does that mean?
Oh, we'd be dealing with that consent decree. See, right now, when the consent decree came in, Catherine Pugh ran over there to get Barack Obama to sign the consent decree. The police took a knee and the criminals were emboldened. The police took a knee and the criminals were emboldened. So let me just read this comment from Mike Haney. Slavery did black men no favors in learning how to be dads or fathers, as there is a difference. We have down spiraled from there. We have to teach us how to be good. It's how to be good men, and then they could be good fathers and perhaps good dads. We were more married. We were more married in slavery. We were more married through 1940, 1950. And then they start bringing in more elements to kill us, like cocaine, heroin, so forth. Go back to your question. What was your question again?
You said that if you were mayor, you would have locked down the city, and you were talking about criminals being emboldened.
I'd have let everybody know that we run this city. Right now, the drug dealers run the city.
Yeah,
I'm pretty damn certain that the drug dealers run at least the streets. There's a certain community that runs the real estate.
Yes, and those are the corporate. Those are the corporate thugs.
Yeah, and so on. Okay, you getting ready to get me to bust Fox 45 because they always talk about black on black crime,
yes.
But they ain't talking about the crime that's being done every day in the realm of genocide.
Yes.
I'd have shut this city down from day one, whether it means bringing in the National Guard, the state police. If you tell somebody, don't stand on the corner, no loitering, that's what the hell I mean. And I ain't saying it twice. Nothing good.
So you would start with that, no hanging out and be locking them up for doing that.
You're not standing on the corner. Right now, the
Well,
police
how do you enforce that? I love it. And I'm not pushing back in a negative way. I love that. And I love
if you don't get off this corner, then you leave me no choice but to lock you up. So this is
how do you respond to those citizens that's going to say they just locking our boys up for nothing, and they
didn't say jack crap when O'Malley did it.
That's true.
I think what we have lacked
that's true.
I think what we have lacked is a black man in politics who is a black man. See, in America, the way you become popular is not being a black man. Baltimore lacks black men. We got some black male. Adult males, but men like your father, like my father, like Michael Haney's father, a man ain't standing for certain stuff. Bob Wallace was trying to articulate that. But if I ask you to get off this corner, I shouldn't have to ask you twice. I wouldn't have asked you if it weren't a problem. I've seen cops at both ends of the block and people selling dope in the middle like it's going out of style.
Oh yeah, I've seen that too.
That's disrespectful. It's illegal. It's problematic. It encourages this miscreant behavior. We have to do it for ourselves. Or if you don't do it that way, then I would hire a big old Fruit of Islam security force to stand on these corners so a cat can see what a black man look like. Now, I'm not talking about the religion. I'm talking about the discipline. When the Fruit of Islam comes through Pennsylvania Avenue, I watch cats show respect. See, said it. We've lost respect.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that. So with that being said, you don't think that Mayor Scott has done a good job?
I'm gonna tell you this, Diamond, in all honesty, because I'm trying my best to give the young man a chance.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We gotta say that it's still early. It's still early.
No, it's not early. It's not early because he's been in politics 10 years. Jack was in there 20 years. Let me slide over to Jack. Jack was in there 20 years when his shot came. Now, I don't know about you, but when I played Little League Baseball, I rode the bench for most of 3 years. It wasn't until my 4th and 5th year that I got a chance. They ain't tell me to bunt no more. I ain't get the bunt sign no more. I could swing. You've been in politics 19 years, and you finally get a chance to no longer bunt. You ain't got to bunt no more. You can swing for the fences. And he says, wait a minute. I don't want to be mayor.
Right.
Why are you there then, brother?
He didn't expect for that to happen. He didn't. He didn't. And like you said, he didn't want it. And the thing is going back to your same Little League scenario. Imagine if you get up to the plate. See, you wanted to have the shot. He didn't want to have the shot. He wanted to coast in the background. He doesn't speak well. He doesn't present well. And I mean, he's just a country guy, and he didn't want no trouble. He don't want to upset the apple cart. He didn't,
that's not
I was covering an event that former Mayor Young was at with Governor Hogan, and I was very close to them. So I had my camera and I'm filming. And when I cover events, if I'm doing camera work, I like to film even before they start speaking, even before the microphone, they go to the podium. And I zoomed in, I'm as close to them and I'm watching the interactions. And Jack Young was in the subservient role, and I was just watching his demeanor, how he was acting. You know, you ever seen one of those old Negroes that, you know, talk a lot of trash when there's black people around, but when a white person comes, the old Negro goes into that boss, yes, a boss kind of role. He was that, and it was disgusting. I despise Larry Hogan first, okay, even before that interaction that I witnessed.
Why so? Why?
Larry Hogan?
Yeah.
Larry Hogan is what I call boss hog. Yeah, you remember Dukes of Hazzard, right? You remember the guy, the white guy that's in the back of the Cadillac? That's Larry Hogan, right? Without the white outfit. And the amount of, but Larry Hogan is no different than the average white Republican. I don't like him a lot because he's fooled all of these black people in Baltimore. He fooled them. And into thinking, into voting for him, into thinking that he really had their best interests at heart, when Larry Hogan only did the rest of the job that the other white politicians that came before him was doing to destroy the city with regards to all of the programs that we were trying to do to help the city. Larry Hogan is a crook. Larry Hogan is a criminal, and he's funny looking, and he fooled a lot of people. And all he has done is crap on every mayor that we have. And it just so happened that they were lady mayors. But the Mr. Scott craps on him as well. And he's just a facade. But when you know something is fake and phony and bad for your people, but they don't see it, but you see it, but they don't see it, that's even more frustrating to me. That's why I despise Hogan. But like I said, Jack Young.
Well, hold up.
Okay.
Would you have preferred Ben Jealous?
Yes.
But we haven't seen him since he lost.
I know he lost. He said that I've been rejected. I mean,
I really didn't see him before then. Here in Baltimore, here in Maryland.
But you saw Larry Hogan. You saw Larry Hogan. I mean, it's
actually, I just met him when he ran for office.
And that's the only time you would see it. Or you either saw him or you saw his surrogate Hayes or some other Baltimore politician who greased their palm or helped their organization, and then they here preaching the gospel of Larry Hogan.
This is my real question for you, Diamond K. What have the Democrats done for black people in the past 30, 40 years?
In with regards to Baltimore, this country,
Baltimore and the state of Maryland.
Because Baltimore is just a snapshot of the rest of the country. So I go to a lot of different cities, and I don't want, a lot of times we get in this mindset of thinking that Baltimore is special or Baltimore is a unicorn. Baltimore is not a unicorn. There's Baltimore in every, there are other Baltimores.
I'm talking about Baltimore. Baltimore, Prince George's have the two worst school jurisdictions in the state of Maryland. In the state of Maryland, Baltimore has the worst socioeconomic factors. In Baltimore, we have not seen a new recreation center since Jesus Christ. In Baltimore, they're building new schools, but they tend not to be in the black community. We got black people on the school board, but they're closing schools in the black community. And as you well know, when you close a school, you kill a community. Yeah. Sandtown, where I live, we have the largest number of people in the criminal justice system. And here, where we had 3 elementary schools, we're down to 1. There's a food desert from Lexington Market to Mondawmin. And I'm just wondering, why are black people...
Let me address some of that.
Why are black people so heavily Democrat?
The black politicians that you speak of, the Democrats, whether we're talking about school board, whether we're talking about the mayor, whether we're talking about any of the people on down, city council, are made to be the scapegoats for these results. They don't really have the power. They are just the facades, or they are just the figureheads that's put up front. You think that some of those people on North Avenue really have the power to control these things? No, they don't. Now, yeah, they nickel and diamond, and they're not the ones. We have to go deeper, because if you had Republicans in office, we would have still had the same thing. This is not this is deeper than a Democrat Republican thing. This is the dark money behind politics, the people who really control Baltimore. Whether you had independents running, whether we had Republicans or Democrats controlling the city would still be the same. The difference is we have to change the dark money that's behind the politics, the people that's selling to both sides, the people that it doesn't matter who they win. You have the dark money that gives to the Republicans and the Democrats. It doesn't matter who wins because they still are running things. And until we understand that part, it doesn't matter. And we'll stay silly fighting over who's the Democrat, who's the Republican, when the people behind it don't matter. They selling to both sides. That's the real thing. That's the real thing.
So you telling me you would take O'Malley over Hogan
as governor?
Yeah.
I don't like either one. But if I had, first of all, that wouldn't be the choice. We would have a black politician propped up against one of them. It wouldn't have been both of the white guys. But I think personally, if I had to pick between the two, I'd probably pick O'Malley over Hogan. And I don't like either one because I think it's a false choice. But
O'Malley locked us up with zero tolerance. He locked up more people. He was as bad as Bill Clinton with the 1984 omnibus crime bill. They led them.
Yeah, but once again, if you ask the average black person about Bill Clinton, they will be singing Bill Clinton's praises because they saw him playing saxophone on Arsenio Hall or they think he's cool. So
and getting sex in the Oval Office.
Yes, yeah, and they think that that's cool. The way people look at, and there's good and bad with everybody. You know what I mean? Everybody is somebody's child, and that's my baby. So there's good in everybody.
O'Malley was very disrespectful to black women in power, including Pat Chesney, who he told to get off her fat ass and go and prosecute some criminals.
Larry Hogan's not disrespectful to black women?
Who? Refresh my memory.
I think that he disrespected Stephanie Rollins. I think that he disrespected
Stephanie Rollins?
Yeah, Stephanie Rollins.
The lady that was missing in action during the worst day in 47 years in the city of Baltimore?
George Bush wasn't missing in action on 9/11. Why we coming down on Stephanie? Why we coming down on Stephanie Rollins?
George Bush got us in a war because his daddy got pimp slapped by Saddam Hussein, and he wanted. So that was all ego. What I'm saying is, you may not like the Republicans,
but that's what I'm saying. So Larry Hogan calls out publicly to try to embarrass our black mayor, who happens to be a female. And
she was embarrassing.
Huh?
She was embarrassing.
But we don't need this white man calling her out. We can call her out. You know how you have a family member, somebody I can say this, you can't say this. Seeing this fat, out of shape, ugly white man talking about our beautiful black mayor, that reinforces part of the issue. We can call her out, and we can call her out.
I like the fat Stephanie where she got skinny. She just got all new on everybody.
Well, fat Oprah, the skinny Oprah, the fat Luther, skinny Luther.
Fat Luther. in terms of Oprah, that's a whole other story. I didn't like how her and Gail banked R. Kelly. That was just a real bully move.
Now, if it had been one of those white girls from Fox, how would you have felt about it? Then it would have been good.
But then Oprah do these films like Harpo. Oprah got her issues with black men, Jack.
Yeah, well, I mean, she has a story, and she has some bad stuff happen to her. Yeah, I'm not gonna sit up here and defend Oprah, because she's definitely been, like anybody else, she got two sides to the coin. Jay-Z does a lot, but Jay-Z was also a crack dealer. So I mean, but let's not understand. The Kennedys did a lot, but they come from bootleg liquor and Nazism. So it's just why is it that the white people get the pass, the white politicians get the pass? Catherine Pugh's in jails for some damn books, right? But the Kennedy family, so they broke more laws than you can't even count how many laws they broke. Donald Trump, we can't count how many laws he broke. Catherine Pugh's in jail for some books.
I'm not a Pugh fan.
I'm not a Pugh fan either, but right is right and wrong is wrong. Kwame Kilpatrick was in jail all that time. All these white politicians do all this stuff.
Diamond. They told me back in 1998, I ran for state central committee. They say if you touch the money, you will be going to Jessup House of Corrections. They only had to tell me one time. Now, when you got,
if you see your counterpart in PG County touching all the money, all the girls, all the everything, you see that this ain't right over here. So we got two sets of laws.
This is 23 years later, and none of that has fazed me. They said if you touch the money, you're going to Jessup House of Corrections. Now, I'm like 5'9", 173 pounds. I ain't built for nobody's penitentiary. I wasn't designed for nobody's penitentiary. You got politicians in the black community who have been pimping the black community for their own selfish reasons. Some of them have made the mistake more than once. And for chump change. Now, 15,000, 35,500, that's not a lot of money. I will say that Pew had that go big or go home thing, but she tricked the whole community, and she and the Democratic Party stole that election from Sheila Dixon. So
yeah.
So
you're saying she got what she deserved. Are you saying that she got what she deserved? She had this coming. How dare she play politics into politics?
I'm gonna say this: if you black and you go into politics, you got to be cleaner than Caesar's wife. No mistakes, because they're gonna burn you up.
Well, let's understand this.
Caesar's
wife was not clean. Okay, Caesar's wife was not clean.
Well, you understand
which is why he divorced her, the first one. But let's understand this. I love the scenario, right? Before we get to the Rubicon, before we get to any of that, before we get to Cleopatra, he had another wife. Okay, and he divorced her because she made him look bad.
Bad analogy.
Caesar was cheating the whole time.
Bad analogy.
No, it's a good analogy. It's a good analogy. Let me tell you why. It's a good analogy because we are being held to standards that are not being withheld by the people accusing us of not going to the standards. Caesar divorced his wife because she was being perceived to be cheating on him when he was cheating his own self. It's a great analogy.
Diamond. If you black and you in politics, you can do no wrong.
Why?
Because that's America.
That's got to change. That's what has to change. It's either across the board that everybody's clean, or we can't pick and choose who gets repercussions. And the black people have to stand up and demand that. If we want to clean this, we clean everything. But we cannot continue to go with the black people. You have to be better than everybody else. The rules. Otherwise, we're going to continue to have our great people picked off and some mediocre people picked off as well. Because if you look at the way you mentioned Fox 45, the way that the Mosbys are being targeted, when we have people that operate outside of the norm, they're going to be picked on and gotten rid of. We need a whole bunch of people raising up against the status quo. What you're talking about is just continue the stat quo, because otherwise you're going to go to jail. And my thing is that the people can determine how this goes if we stand up.
My daddy said to me, Diamond K, that you got to be twice, if not 3 times as good as the white man to make it in America. We are 13% of the population.
Why is that?
Too many of us are incarcerated. America is the most incarcerating nation. As my daddy said, you got to survive the frisk. And not just the frisk of standing on the corner without drugs, but also the frisk in terms of credit. in terms of the ability to get a job, your employability. You have to be better than, because this is America. You're outnumbered.
Yes. All that is true. But what do you do? Because if that's the case, then you don't pull anybody up, right? You just continue. Once you attain success, you still continue in this same quagmire, or do you change things when you get to a point that you can change things?
Man, we need dual citizenship. Michael Haney kind of alludes to it below. Just like the Jews have America and Israel to go to, we need America and Kenya, America and Uganda, or America, Kenya, Uganda, and Ghana. We have to get up out. See, we've become lazy. Since we've integrated, we've gotten soft. We stopped fighting. We stopped fighting for what's ours. We wanted to move to the county. Instead of triggers, rats, and roaches, I said triggers, rats, and roaches. We now got bunny, rabbit, deer, and foxes, and lawns.
Mm-hmm.
But we lost our fight. Out Liberty Road, wealthiest Black jurisdiction in Greater Baltimore. They lost 3 supermarkets, Food Line, Shoppers, and Giant. Out Liberty Road lost 3 supermarkets.
But there's a reason. I think that when I hear the conversation about food, when I hear the conversation about food deserts, I want to remind people, right? When we talk about food deserts and these stores closing, these stores are closing for the same reason that Kmart's closed and went away, but the same reason that Circuit City closed and went away, but the same reason that Best Buy is going to close and go away, because of other competitors that people are going to. Walmart has food. They can order food. They can go different places and get food. So these other places are not making money, and then therefore are being gone. Same reason that malls are going away. It's too expensive to maintain them. And a lot of these extra supermarkets are going to be going away, not because we're going to destroy the Black community. It's because they ain't making no money, and they can't sustain this building and this rent and this staff. Same reason why the mall is going to close. All the malls are going to close. Walmart is to blame, and Amazon for a lot of this. The same reason the mom and pop stores, specialty stores, gone away. Whether it was all of it is going to go away because of this consolidation of these mega stores.
I got two last questions for you, and we've gone. I thank you for giving us so much of your time. Number one, the vacants, and number two, how to better support Black business.
So, I mean, to better support Black business is very simple. We have to do it. It's just that simple. And then the trick to it, though, is and I got to go back to what we were saying earlier. We cannot hold our Black businesses to such a high standard that they make one mistake and you done with them. The same way we can't throw our politicians away because they make one mistake and then we just throw them away. So we go into these Black businesses, okay, and the experience was not the best it could be. It could be something could have been better. So you just blast them on social media, or you don't support them at all because you had this bad experience. But you keep going to this white establishment that gives you piss poor service, bad everything, bad presentation, bad everything, and you keep going there over and over and over again, and you don't even blast them. You keep going to an Asian spot, give you bad service, bad presentation, and you don't blast them, and you keep going there over and over and over again. But you have to hold our Black establishments to, you got to give them that same level of patience and understanding, and pull them aside and say, okay, hey, brother, sister, this or that, and they may be defensive, but you got to continue. Like I was saying about what happened in my childhood, you got to keep drilling it over and over again. You keep going to McDonald's, and it's crappy. Not only is it crappy food, but it's usually crappy service. Hey, can I get a Big Mac? Is that all? Let me get a shake. Is that all? Like, that's not good service, but you keep going there to get the nugget. I mean, nuggets, it's cold. When it's cold, it tastes like crap. But you keep going over and over and over again. One time in a Black place, piss you off, and you done with them. And you blast them on social media and telling all your friends don't go there. We got to change that. Very easy to do, because it's the same thing you do with the other places. Do the same thing. And when you have a Black politician that gets in trouble, does something wrong, like has a house in Florida, God forbid, you know what I mean? You can't just throw them to through the wolves just because Fox 45 say so, because you watch your weather report on that channel. We have got to support each other and unify. It's real simple. That's what we got to do in everything. Any black business that you can support, you need to support it. It ain't hard. It's just repetition. See, I can go on all day about this.
So I was thinking about running you for city council.
I might be too radical.
It takes a lot of heart.
I tried that before, and what I think I might be better suited to be part of somebody's team. But
your passion is media, and I encourage you, whatever you do, keep your media.
Yeah, that's no doubt.
Malcolm X said that the media is the most powerful entity on earth. It has the ability to make the innocent look guilty and the guilty look innocent. Going back to that first feature film in America by D.W. Griffith that they showed at the White House, the stereotypes that are reiterated nightly, daily on the news as if we are savage. Kay, I met this woman over at Johns Hopkins. She was a white female student, and she said to me that most of the crimes in America are committed by black people. Mm. So, we got a lot to dismantle, but I appreciate you coming on the show. Any final thoughts, and do a plug for your show so people can know how to catch up with you?
I really appreciate any time that I can come on your show and have some of these conversations that are so important to our community. So anytime that I can be here, please let me know and I will be here. As far as people staying in touch with me, radioonfire.com is where you go for that. On youtube.com/DJ Diamond K. I do shows daily, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. where you can catch a replay. Saturday and Sunday, I go in the mix, 6 p.m. As far as that, as I said, radioonfire.com. Also look me up on all digital outlets. Apple Music. I have a new project out that is called Bernice Avenue, so people can stream that everywhere that you get your music. Diamond K, and absolutely, I really appreciate the platform that you have here and all that you continue to do.
I will say this to you: in 19 or so years of running DM Global marketing and public relations, including BeMoreNews.com and now BlackUSA.News. In my experience with Democrats, and I'm talking about candidates or elected officials, I found that they do not support my business like they should. I also find that they are not good at dealing with business at all. They are slow to pay and often want freebies. In my dealings with the two Republican governors in the state of Maryland, i.e. Robert Ehrlich, i.e. Larry Hogan, there's a question and there's a statement. The question is, Donnie, how much will that cost? And the statement is, Donnie, come pick your check up Monday. I like that. That's sexy as crap to me.
Yeah, because those
I like people that pay that damn bill and don't ask no questions, because we deliver what I think is a superior product. And I can tell you, for the past 20 years, every governor in the state of Maryland, including Martin O'Malley, they've supported this news outlet. But it's a lot easier to get my money from the Republicans. Democrats are cheap, slow to pay, want a payment plan, want to give you the runaround. And these are the same people that come to you when the mainstream media is busting them upside the head. We are, as a people, we run over there to the Baltimore Sun. You got black candidates right now. They run to the Baltimore Sun. Oh, the Baltimore Sun, they kissing up to them. And as soon as the Sun pimp slap them, then they come to Be More News. Kind of like we'll go. A lot of us have the mentality, oh, you need a Jewish lawyer. The lawyers, we have a white lawyer, Dubo Law, but the lawyers, I got to tell you a quick story before you go. Billy Murphy, Bob DeShields, Ivan Bates, J. Wendell Gordon, those are our lawyers. I want to tell you something. You mentioned something about how people switch up. I watched Billy Murphy. This was back in 2002. I was hosting Bob Ehrlich down at it was then Britain's restaurant, 810 North Howard Street. There's been other names since then, including Phase 10. But Billy Murphy taught me the most valuable lesson. Before Bob Ehrlich came into the room, Billy was using basic street vernacular.
Mm.
He was talking like you and I talking, and he was cussing. When Bob Ehrlich came in the room, he didn't change one word.
Oh.
He taught me the most valuable lesson. Be who you are. They either accept you, DMX said it, they either accept you or they don't F with it. I'll never forget that lesson. And we've talked about it many times because he didn't switch up one iota. In other words, nobody is superior to us.
Right. That's facts.
I wish you could have seen it. It was poetry in motion.
I wish I could have seen that too. Yeah.
And I will tell you that I don't think you noticed, but my new book is out, I Am Black Wall Street, and Billy Murphy actually did the forward for the book. So that was a valuable lesson. Be who you are. Don't switch up for nobody. They either accept you or they don't. Also, be excellent, be exemplary, be superior in your craft. You know, when I look at your studio, I'm always motivated, inspired, because I know that you have studied your craft. You're doing movies now. I know that, and that's who I want to surround myself with, people who are trying to take their game to a higher and higher level, even if they are, you know, a couple days younger than me. Because we can learn from anybody. We can learn from a baby, an ant, an insect. So you inspire me, man, and your family is the model that I wish more of us could get into. We got to keep family first. Yes. You know, there's always going to be that person in the family that's stubborn, but we all we got, and we got to look out for each other. And
definitely. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate
stay being my brother for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. People need to go out and get your book. I'm gonna get me a copy, and absolutely, definitely. I really enjoyed this conversation.
We keep learning from each other. I'm proud of you, brother. I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you as well.
And it's from an old dude with a bald head that the hair ain't coming back. But I do remember getting my hair plaited years ago.
Yeah.
Those are some of the greatest times. Lord have mercy.
I remember getting my hair plaited last week.
You're hilarious. Much love to you and yours. My name's Donnie Glover. We're with Diamond K for an hour and a half of some powerful conversation. Up to date, down tomorrow, do your day and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it, regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper. Good morning, world.